Hello, everybody, and welcome to a special bonus edition of Rival Sports Pod. I'm Joe Pastor here with Glenn Ferretti, and today we're going to talk to you about the New York Mets signing of Carlos Correa to a 12-year, $315 million deal.
Yep, Uncle Stevie cuts another check out of that very large checkbook that he has.
And the key word is "in other," because it seems like at least once a week you wake up and you're like, oh, all right, they signed somebody else. And they're big splash moves, one after another, you know. Like I walked into work, just happened to run into, another Mets fan. We're looking at our phones, look at each other and smile. And it's like you're a kid at Christmas, just what it's bringing to you, because it wasn't just lip service with this guy. A lot of times owners, GMs, they say the right things, then don't follow through. But Uncle Steve is taking care of business here. And he really meant it when he said he is a fan. He's not buying this as just a business, and he's committed to bring a championship home to the New York Mets.
Yeah, I mean, this one was different, though. I mean, this guy was signed, sealed, press conference already scheduled for the Giants, and you wake up and he's a member of your team. I mean, that is unbelievable. And you're signing a guy of Carlos Correa's caliber when he's already basically signed with another team, where you had those feelings of, dang, I thought we were in on the Carlos Correa deal. We missed out on him. Go to bed, wake up, and he's your newest third baseman on the New York Mets. I mean, what a great day today is.
Yeah, it is, because I really wasn't even that warm on it. I thought we were no chance at all of bringing him in, but here we are, and we're very happy. We're very pleased. If you're a fan of the San Francisco Giants, not so much, as they already lost out on the Aaron Judge sweepstakes.
Yeah, so they lost out on Judge and Correa to both New York teams. So tough to sleep as a Giants fan right now. But yeah, I mean, just talking about Carlos Correa in general as a player. I mean, absolutely. Dominating player. I mean, if you kind of forget about last year when he's on Minnesota, I'm sure that year he'll try to forget about when his career is written as well. I mean, he was an MVP level talent, MVP level playoff series, World Series champion with the Houston Astros. And then really just saying, hey, I'll play wherever for the Mets just to be part of this team. I mean, he's moving over to play third base next to Lindor. How many guys are going to do that willingly? We know one Yankee didn't exactly do that willingly.
Yes, and that was a big problem, and it's very pleasing to hear that. And the more I hear about it, is him and Lindor are good friends. They play together in the Puerto Rican national team, and they'll get some time to hone their skills and getting used to playing with one another even more. So that's a great thing. And Carlos Correa, I mean, you can't say enough good things about him, because he's good in the regular season, but in the postseason, in his career, he's even better. 272 average, 18 homers, 59 RBIs in 79 games. So that's
incredible.
If you extrapolate that out, that's like a 35, 36 home run season. So
I think he had like low 20s home runs last year in a down year. I mean, if it's a down year for what we had.
A down year for him is 22 homers, 291 average, 64 RBI, 70 runs. That's a bad year for him.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's okay. We'll sign up for that any day of the week. So the interesting thing is, kind of what's the impact going to be, and what's his full-time deal going to be? Obviously, majority third base, but the Mets, they brought up Brett Beatty last year to play a little bit of third base, really up-and-coming prospect. You got McNeil at second, who can pretty much play anywhere. So it'll be interesting to see what the Mets do if, they move Correa over to second, then you can kind of slide Beatty in the lineup to play third some of those games, and McNeil can go out to left field forever. So this team is not only adding players, they're really adding versatile players, which is something that they haven't necessarily had in the past as well. So that's going to be interesting to see the way that plays out.
Especially with Buck, behind the helm, because he seems to be real creative in moving guys around, getting guys playing time so they're not sitting on the bench and getting stale. and ready to help the team when you need them. So yeah, that will definitely be a great thing to see. And and you got the DH to play with now in the National League as well.
Yep.
If you ever need to give him a little rest, because one of the things some of the haters are talking about is his injury history. So I dug that up, and I didn't find it to be all that concerning. Like in 2017, he missed some time hurt his thumb sliding into the catcher. Some back problems. In 2020, he missed some time with COVID, which was kind of surprised me that any of the Houston Astro players got the coronavirus, because you would think they would have seen the signs coming in advance, as they usually did in Houston. Like,
that's a good one.
Yeah, they probably got a team doctor following guys. Like if they cough, the team doctor follows them around, banging the garbage can.
That's
lets
funny.
everyone know we got some warning signs here. Yeah, so
Yeah, well, hopefully he leaves his undershirt microphones in Houston or Minnesota and doesn't bring those with him to New York.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to need them.
No, I don't think we will, and I think those things are all behind them at this point. I mean, that's something that I think I could look past. That's another thing that the haters said. Oh, he's a cheater. He made it sound like he was the ringleader of it. It's kind of like if management is telling you to do that, what is he going to do? Say no?
Right.
So
Yeah.
he
I don't
did
know.
it. They owned it, and I think you move on from that, in my opinion.
Yeah.
The interesting injury he had was his biggest one was he had a cracked rib, and that was from an in-house massage. Working out that back, that I thought was interesting. And just where my mind goes when you hear athletes in massages, to Deshaun Watson. So I'm glad you didn't have those kinds of things going on with them, because that's something that I have would have a hard time getting past. So I'm glad that was not obviously.
Yeah, no, I think he's a family man. I think he's a good
character.
I think he's a good guy. So yeah, I don't think we have any of those things to worry about. So yeah, it's pretty exciting, because this is kind of where we are on December 21st. Correa being basically, about the, I think, 6th or 7th big sighting for the Mets. So let's take a step back. I think since this is our first Mets talk, man, I love talking Mets in December, but
Yes.
Let's take it back to the beginning. I think in early November, when the Mets got an early signing from Edwin Diaz, and the first thing people said from there, this was our first contract, is like, wow, the Mets really overpaid for a closer. And it's like, this guy has his own theme song.
Yeah,
This
cue
guy,
the trumpets.
cue the trumpets for Edwin Diaz. I mean, I got friends that don't even watch baseball that were singing the trumpet song. It's like, yeah, we need to pay that guy and keep him on a team. I mean, he was lights out. So that was a huge sighting for us. Kind of right as the precursor to Jacob deGrom walking out the door. So
Yeah.
I'm interested to your thoughts on the deGrom, and then I'll share with you mine.
Yeah, before deGrom, I'll have to admit, a little Timmy Trumpet, I listened to it on my iTunes, driving around in the car. Put me in a good mood, windows down in the parking lot.
It was everywhere. It took over. Yeah, it took over.
But, Justin Verlander, I was happy with that signing. It was a smart move. It was a short contract with an older guy who had a great season last year. When you look at his numbers last year, he was 18-4 with a 1.75 ERA.
Yeah.
Last time he played with Scherzer, I think that worked out pretty well in Detroit. So that was huge. And I also can only wonder or think that getting two respected veterans like Scherzer and Verlander may have been one of the factors to get Kodai Senga over here to play with those guys that I'm sure he must have a lot of respect for. So
yeah, I mean, it had to be a huge selling pitch to him, and just the mentorship that those guys can provide him and kind of teach him the ropes. But my first question, I think, was like, let's talk about the deGrom departure before we get into all the other shiny toys that the Mets brought in. I'd love to know like how you felt about that, and then I'll tell you how I felt about it.
I felt straight betrayal from that, and the reason why is he was obviously injured a lot. It was always a class act, didn't get a lot of run support, and never complained.
But did you
about it.
initially feel like betrayal, like when the story first broke without having, I mean, it's hard to go back in time, but like think about like not having all the information you have today. Cause I know we talked on the phone,
Uh-huh.
pretty much immediately when the story broke, and like, we didn't have any of this other
I
Jacob
guess
deGrom noise.
I guess shock, even though you kind of there were warning signs all along, as the Mets
Yep.
fans do, about him maybe not coming back.
Yep.
So, but yeah, then I guess maybe once the shock wore off, I felt really betrayed because we supported him. A lot of the Mets stuff I followed was not very critical of him at all for missing those games with injuries. But then a guy like Lindor, at
Yep.
the beginning of the year last year, a lot of people were throwing him under the bus, talking about how he's one of the biggest busts in team history. And then once he started, playing at the end of the year, everybody shut up.
Yep.
But DeGrom never saw that. He was beloved in New York, and he turned his back on you.
Yep.
So yeah, that definitely did not feel good, and I still don't feel good about him, or him leaving, or maybe other players on other teams are like, oh, okay, good luck.
Yep.
In the future, I do not feel that way about Jacob deGrom.
Yeah, it's funny. We're both obviously really longtime Met fans, and our feelings are a little bit different. I mean, at first, I was really kind of in like complete denial of DeGrom leaving the Mets. I mean, I kind of felt like this was like our Derek Jeter, and you got to do whatever you can do to keep this guy in a Mets uniform. You can't let him walk out the door. And, I talked to, I don't even know, 10, 15 Met fans, and, it was like 50-50. Some people were like, let him go. He's always been injured, but I'm like, I get it. But I'm like, he's like the Rock, that's just like on the team consistently. And he's just kind of the leader of the team. But then, man, after watching the press conference, really no goodbye to the Mets. I mean, I know he's not a big social media guy. I don't even know if he has a Twitter account. I don't think he does. And his press conference talking like the Rangers are the most up and coming team in Major League Baseball. And the reason why he sided with them is because of the vision and the direction of the team. I mean, I quickly looked at the stats. I mean, those guys haven't won more than 70 games in like the last 5 years, or like 70, 75 games. It's like, what are you talking about, Jacob? Like, are you really drinking the Kool-Aid? I mean, I would rather you just said, you know what? We're not re-signing with New York. Like, it's been a great run. They drafted me. They brought me through the system. We had some great years together, a couple Cy Young years, but me and my family, we want out of New York. We want to live somewhere else and, start the next part of our career there. I just think he would have had saved face with the fans a little bit better if he would have just kind of taken a different route than making it seem like the Rangers are, the next World Series champs.
Make it believable, Don't don't blow smoke up our, So
Yeah.
definitely a lot of bad feelings around Jacob deGrom, and I'll be happy to see him lose because when is the last time Texas has been relevant?
Yeah, it's been a while, but I know you'll be the Boo Birds. I'll still cheer the guy. I don't know. I just feel like I have to, but I'd be interested to see what DeGrom would have done, like if he would have waited till December 21st to make his decision, because you hinted at it earlier. They instantly signed Verlander, who's going to be a huge signing, and then right after that, they brought in Quintana, brought him in, and then I think the biggest signing of bringing Brandon Nimmo back to the Mets.
And that took a while. I was getting nervous about that because again, that's our guy too. He's improved so much, from when he first came up in the team. You definitely saw, I think, some potential there when he first came up, but he just keeps getting better and better and better. And then with the shift being off, I think that's going to benefit him a lot. But I was getting nervous because at those meetings, I guess they said something like 8 to 10 teams were interested in him.
Yeah, and then Colorado was like, they were like in big time on him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I could see a hitter wanting to go there. So, and you have to wonder at that time too. I mean, Uncle Steve had already spent a lot of money. How much is he going to spend?
Right. We thought it could be over at that point. And people forget, like Brandon Nimmo was an awful outfielder, like for the first few years of his career. And his last couple of years, especially this year, I mean, he has gold glove level talent. And that is truly, his work ethic, his commitment, and working on his craft. Like that's the guys you want on your team. Those are the ones that are the glue, the ones that are leaving it all out on the field. I think the polar bear has a ton of those qualities. Lindor has a lot of those qualities where those guys absolutely love the game, and they want to be out there and they leave it all on the field. So they're starting to bring back some of the guys that'll really leave it out on the field and, mixing in some of these nice new pieces that have won some World Series.
And the other thing, if without Nimmo, it's like, okay, who leads off for you?
Yeah.
Are we back in that hole where we're trying to throw like Juan Lagares in there, or when you're searching for a leadoff hitter is hard. They're not that easy to find.
Yep. No, yeah, I know. I agree. And a lot of people always point to like, oh, Lindor, he can do it all. But like, man, that guy drives in a ton of runs. Like he needs to be back in the lineup. So, that was a huge bring back for the Mets, and excited to have our leadoff guy back. Right before that, I didn't miss this, but really it was the day before the Mets signed David Robertson. To kind of bolster the bullpen. So what did you think about that signing? 1 year deal, I think $10 million.
I thought that was a nice depth move. Again, he's a little older, but he's still 1 year contract, and he still produced. He had a good season last year. Last year he had a 2.4 ERA. Appeared in 58 games, 63 and 2/3 innings. So clearly he seems to be doing just fine. And again, you get the hater Yankee fans. Oh, he's washed up. Joe Girardi ruined him. Blah blah blah. That looks like a pretty good season to me, bro.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, he's a professional. I mean, that guy is a professional. His press conference was the same way. Like, I came to the Mets because they have a winner. Like, he wants to get on this new Mets train and, ride it to a World Series. So that guy's going to do whatever it takes. He wants the ball. Like you said, 58 games. Nobody's giving the ball to a guy 58 times in a season if they don't feel like they can get the job done. I don't care who you are.
Absolutely.
So it's
and his body could hold up, too.
Yeah, no, definitely. And then I think everybody's kind of in the, same ballpark on the, it's time to get Brian McCann out of town. So they brought in, Omar from Milwaukee to catch, on another short deal, which obviously has some implications on Francisco Alvarez. But, I think with him, Omar will obviously, come in as the starting catcher most likely. So it gives Alvarez a chance to, either start the year in minor leagues and work on his catching a little bit more. But I guarantee he'll be up a lot sooner, probably in that DH position, and potentially catching the second half of the year. So that was a kind of a surprising, I would say, move at that time. I wasn't sure if Alvarez was going to be the guy earlier.
Yeah, I mean, but it seems like Buck prefers veterans to the younger guys.
Yep. Yeah, and then Nito, obviously still being on the team right now. So we'll see.
And I don't
happens.
mind Nito. That's not going to hit a home run, but he's one hell of a bunter, and that's a lost art. The bunt.
You don't hear that often out of a catcher, man. He's one hell of a bunter.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
I mean, we do get excited when Nito gets a hit, so I don't know if that's a good thing.
But what would get me to forgive Jacob deGrom and not go Bills Mafia and want to pelt them with snowballs would be if he was good friends with McCann and convinced the Rangers to bring him in. Then I think I could say Jacob, all's forgiven.
Yeah, maybe you could sell
McCann.
Your
service.
Maybe you could sell McCann on the vision of the World Series out there.
Win one before you go. Absolutely.
Right. Yeah. So kind of, sewed up that catcher position, and then, you had kind of touched on it, but the Senga move, landing him from Japan came shortly after that. And that's an interesting one because I think it's a nice landing spot for him on the Mets as well, because he doesn't have to come in and be Hugh Darvish, right out of the gate. Like, he can kind of settle in as the number 3 pitcher and really learn from these guys, but certainly produce. Who knows? We don't know what we're going to get right now at this point.
Yeah, you never know what you're going to get. Do we? I've heard even things about the Mets being interested in Hendricks from the White Sox.
Yeah, I think the last thing we could think is Uncle Stevie's done. Like, I'm not sure it'll be done until April.
I would think he would be done with these moves, but
Yeah, I mean, we brought back Ottavino, obviously, another huge bullpen bring back. He had a tough start to the year, but really finished strong. And then the big talk now, I think, is Conforto. Like, do we really bring back Michael Conforto to really DH mostly and, take some spot starts in the outfield?
If he's cheap, why not?
Right. Will he be cheap, though? He does have Scott Boras as his agent.
That's true. And Scott Boras, I'm pretty sure he's Correa's agent.
Yeah, he is.
So who knows? And I even heard some reports about that maybe he intentionally failed his physical because he got some cold feet.
Oh, really?
That's speculation. But that's just kind of weird that someone fails their physical.
Well, especially with the press conference already scheduled.
Correct.
I mean, it looked like pretty much a done deal. So that was definitely surprising. So maybe
the Giants threw that out there to save face, with their fans, because like we said, the Giants fans can't be happy.
Right.
So who knows?
I mean,
all that stuff's speculation.
Yeah, no. So it'll be interesting to see if they make any more moves. Obviously, I think most fans would be pretty content with the lineup that we're going into next season with. But, I think it also kind of puts on as like, we got to really do some damage in the playoffs and, win a World Series. Like, it's one thing to get the guys, but we got to get these guys to produce and start winning some meaningful baseball games.
And I feel like the Mets of old would have been like, all right, we won 100 games. We're a good team. Let's just see if we'll roll the same thing out there pretty much, and things will go better.
You're right. Yeah, you're right. They would have.
So that's exciting. The other thing about Senga that I'm excited about is to see this so-called ghost forkball. That he throws. That does sound so dirty. Like, it sounds like that's something in a video game you need like a cheat code, for. This
someone was telling me he used to pitch with smaller baseballs.
That was me telling you that. So in Japan, it's something like 73 millimeters here or 73 there and 75 there. So it's a couple millimeters smaller. I'm not sure what the size is in the World Baseball Classic because he's had like 6 strikeouts, including guys like Stanton, and I think it was Yelich, and there were some other names in there. I can't think of them right now, but he just mowed down all these like all-stars in the World Baseball Classic last time. So
yeah, I mean, I would say the track record for bringing over these Japanese pitchers has been pretty solid, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's one thing. I think it's a good risk that the Mets are taking. Because you can look to that and say, we obviously do our due diligence, and Major League Baseball does their due diligence if there's 5-6 teams that are interested in this guy. So,
regardless, he throws 100 miles an hour. So even if that does a little something with the rotations, I still do think he's going to have nasty stuff by any means.
It was either that or kind of go all in on Bassett, because obviously Taijuan Walker had already left.
Yep.
We'll see what happens with Carrasco. I know there's been a lot of trade talk about him, but it was like, do we want to go all in on Bassett? Like,
no.
We saw him pitching in huge games, and he clearly, didn't live up to it in those games. Like, it just seemed like the spot was too big for him. So you can't have that in New York.
Yeah, he was a workhorse, I think, during the regular season. But, during those big games at the end, definitely did not work out. So I would have much rather have taken a chance with Senga than on Bassett. But, again, there's a guy, like I said, I wish Bassett the best. I wish Walker the best,
Yep.
DeGrom, not so much.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Got a nice snowball for you, buddy.
Yeah, we were not re-signing Walker. That was for sure. Bassett was kind of unsure if we were going to re-sign him, but yeah, he left the right way. But yeah, we need guys to pitch in October, not in May and June. So
For sure.
hopefully we got the right guys to do that. We obviously have the closer to shut down the game, so we just got to get to him. We lost Lugo, but I think that was going to happen. We didn't even really make a competitive offer towards him at all, as well. He took a deal. I've actually heard that he's interested in potentially starting some games as well, which kind of surprised me. But I mean, that guy was nails for the Mets, so I'm certainly gonna miss him. The one guy I won't miss is Trevor May. Good luck in Oakland. I mean, what a disaster. I mean,
what's their payroll?
Yeah. Yeah,
but at least every now and then Oakland wins and is relevant.
I know.
Somehow with no payroll, every now and then they're good. Rangers, when are you good?
Right. Yeah. No. The Rangers are probably not going to be very good. So yeah. Exciting day. This was a cool bonus Mets episode in December. Hopefully we'll do a few more of those. Maybe Uncle Steve will sign a few more unexpected guys. They're kind of running out of free agents, I think, in Major League Baseball at this point.
It might be trade time at this point. Maybe some winter meetings.
It's true. Yeah, I feel like the Mets are going to be like, they should have like a Hard Knocks for Major League Baseball, and covering the Mets in spring training would be pretty sick.
Pretty mean inter squad game with all the depth they have.
Oh yeah, yep. So I mean, I think the last thing we talk about is really just how upset the Yankee fan probably is right now about the Mets being the new big boy in town. And even I saw even earlier Hal Steinbrenner, he's excited that there's going to be two really good New York teams, where it's nice that we're all friends now. But last time I checked, we were competing for the front page for the last 30, 40 years here. So we're not as excited. We want to be the big boy in town. We got the owner to spend the money, and I'm sure Mr. Steinbrenner would not have felt the same way as those comments.
No. And we've got a good manager too. Let's not forget that.
Yeah.
So I think we got a lot to look forward to as Mets fans.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, it was good catching up tonight, Joe. We'll talk early next week, get back to some football, and we'll catch up then.
All right, man.
All right, buddy. We'll talk to you later. See ya.